Manna, Two Visions of Humanity's Future by Marshall Brain. Chapter 7. Linda looked at me and started to explain. The vertebrae system lets me access the entire information network here in the Australia project. It's like a network connection, a telephone, a TV, a computer, and several other devices all rolled into one. You asked me what was tattooed on Bert's butt. I used the vertebrae system to get the answer. Yes, I said, but how did you get the answer? Let's say you're holding a telephone in your hand. How would you get the answer? I guess I would call Bert and ask him. Right, but Bert doesn't have a phone. So I called Cynthia and I asked her. She asked Bert. I thought the answer was on the network. If I thought the answer was on the network, I could do research instead. But how did you do it? You never moved. You never picked up the phone. You didn't do anything. How did you call Cynthia? This is the interesting part about the vertebrae system. I'm going to explain it to you, but I want you to relax while I do it. Different people take this differently. That's why I'm sitting here with you privately, telling you about it one-on-one. There's just no way to talk about it in a big group during orientation because everyone reacts so differently to it. I want you to understand that the vertebrae system is a good system. It's the most advanced communication and networking system ever created, but it freaks a lot of people out when they hear about it. My job is to help you get past that. Linda was looking at me with an expression that was one of serenity. She just wanted to talk to me about this thing, whatever it was. I won't freak out, I said. Just answer me one thing. Where is this system? How do you access it? This has been a question since I got here. In this room, there's no computer, no TV, no telephone. I would expect my room to be filled with electronic devices, but I haven't seen a single device since I got here. That was the problem that people started to notice. The more advanced things got, the more devices you needed. Think about the state of electronics in the US. Computer, TV, telephone, tablet, GPS, stereo system, portable music player, video players, video recorders, cameras. At some point, the number of devices becomes insane. Sure, you can integrate some of them together, but then there are compromises. Plus, these are the problems of screen size. There are the problems of screen sizes, multiple screens, batteries. The Australia project, with its level of innovation, was producing more and more of these devices in myriad forms, and it was becoming quite unwieldy. So how did you solve the problem? We decided it would be easier to build in all of these devices. Build them in where? Inside us. I know that sounds foreign because you've never thought of devices in this way. You've always thought of devices as being outside your body. When they are outside, though, they are always getting in the way. You have to carry them, you have to put them in your pockets, you lose them, you break them, you have to hold them in your hand to use them, and you only have two hands. If you build them in, all of those problems go away. That actually makes sense. The whole idea of using a hand to hold a phone to your head seems awkward, but I have a couple of questions. First of all, where are the devices? I mean, you don't look like you're lumpy or anything. Are they in your torso? No, they're not in my torso, Linda smiled. And how do you push the buttons or read the screens? That's one of the most interesting parts about the vertebrae system. What? Pushing the buttons and reading the screens. So how do you do it? Think about it this way. What's the biggest problem with screens? I don't know. What, they're never big enough? Very good. That's the biggest problem with screens. We can make screens as big as buildings now, but they're really hard to take with you. In any sort of portable device, the screen is always too small. And what if you're walking? Yeah, that's a problem. You can't see the screen if you're walking because it jiggles too much, and you won't run into things if you look down all the time. Exactly. So there's a simple solution. What if you painted the image right into your eye? That sounds like it would work. How do you do it? It turns out you can't do it, Linda said. It just doesn't work. You can try putting some sort of retinal projection in a pair of glasses or something, but it gets extremely cumbersome. When you're running, the glasses still bounce a little and it's distracting. And then there's no way to push the buttons. So how do you solve that problem? Linda took a deep breath. I want you to imagine something and think about how your body works. What if you tapped right into the optic nerves? What if you pumped images straight into the visual cortex of the brain, overlaid on top of the screen, coming in through your eyes? You can do that? You can tap right into the optical nerves? I was nearly speechless. Yes, we can do that. We can also tap into the auditory nerves coming from the ears, along with the taste and smell nerves from the tongue and nose. We can pump artificial sensory perceptions right into these main sensory nerve bundles as they enter the brain. Holy shit! What about touch? We handle touch as well. The way we do it is to hook right into the spinal cord. That lets us pick up all touch sensations and also gain control of the muscles as well. What? I know it sounds far-fetched, but we actually put shunts into every nerve pathway leading into the brain. And we do that whether it's a sensory nerve fiber headed toward the brain or a muscle control fiber heading it out, she explained. How do you do that? For the spinal cord, what they do is replace 3 of the upper cervical vertebrae in your spine, right about here. She touched my back of the neck and then showed me where on the back of her neck. That's where the main computer system is embedded, and the 3 new vertebrae they install. There's also a power module and a wireless transmitter. Inside you right now? Right here. She held the back of her neck. Why is there no scar? I asked, looking at her neck. The surgical procedures in Australia project are just as innovative as everything else. Where does the power come from? Do you have to recharge yourself every night? I asked, only half joking. No, there's a fuel cell in the 3rd vertebrae, and it uses glucose in the blood for power. It has a nice side benefit. It helps you keep your weight down. That's one reason why there are no fat people in Australia. Oh my god! I knew there had to be a reason for that. I figured that they were force-feeding limitations or something. No one could ever go on a luxury cruise and stay thin. No, the vertebrae system actually takes care of your weight for you. But that's a bonus. It has nothing to do with the real goal of the vertebrae system. So let me see if I have this straight. You're saying that surgeons replace 3 of the upper vertebrae in your spine. Yes. Actually, it's robotic surgeons, but yes. And they sever the spinal cord and essentially reroute it into a computer in one of those new vertebrae? Yes, very good. And they also tap into the major sensory nerves like the optical nerves and the auditory nerves. Exactly. You're blowing my mind, I said. I had to close my eyes for a minute. Is that how you're wired right now? Yes, that's how I'm wired, and let me tell you, it's fantastic. How does it feel? It's very freeing. How so? Let's say that I want to talk to Cynthia. I can call her and talk to her. Or I can send her a letter. To call her, I just think through it and to connect. Then, it's just like we're talking to each other normally. I hear her voice as though it's in my ear. What's happening is that when she thinks about talking, the vertebrae system intercepts the signals and sends them to the network wirelessly. They're transmitted to me, and my computer sends the words she is speaking to my auditory nerves, overlaid on ambient sound around me. Or I can turn the ambient sound off if I want to. That's great if you're in a noisy place. So you can turn your ears off? That would be so cool. There are lots of times I've wanted to close my ears just like I close my eyes. There are lots of people who meditate by turning off everything. They turn off sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Their brains are completely disconnected from the world. It's like you're floating in a complete isolation chamber. I don't like it myself unless I'm trying to fall asleep, but lots of people swear by it. What else can you do? Everyone listens to music this way. It streams from the network straight to your auditory nerves. The sound is perfect. You can make it as loud or as soft as you like, and there's never any risk of ear damage. And it can always play in the background. You just turn it down when the call comes in. I never thought about that. Another thing that Vertebrain can do is translate for you. If you're taking a call from a person who speaks in a different language, the system simply translates what they say into English and sends the translated version in on your auditory nerve instead of the original version. That way, everyone in the Australia project can talk to everyone else. Language has never been a problem. How smart is it? It's amazing, actually. For example, let's say you're in a room with a lot of people, and someone is talking too loudly and making it hard to hear. You can ask the system to cut them off, and the voice disappears from the audio track you're hearing. What else can it do? The visual side is where it's the most amazing. It has different modes. Remember when we were in the airport and you asked me, how did we get here? Yes. But now I can see where this is headed. Right. I simply asked the system where I'm supposed to be for the flight, and when. In my interface, the system tells me where to go by painting big arrows on the walls. No one else can see them, but when I look at the world, I see arrows painted on the walls. And I like lots of arrows, so I never get confused. Then, when we got inside the plane and the seats were nearby, they glowed. That's how I knew where our spots were. You can set up the interface nearly any way. Some people like arrows on the walls, some like lines painted on the floor, some like a big golden retriever who walks in front of you and then you follow. And it can be anything. Golden retriever, elf, dragon, floating orb, whatever. Some people go for a voice interface where the voice tells them to turn left or right. As soon as as you mention voices, you know what I'm going to ask. There is a chill running up my spine. Yes, I do. Let me be very clear on this. This is not Manna, or anything close to it. There is a huge difference between vertebrae and Manna. Manna tells you to scrub the toilet, and you have no choice. Manna times you as you scrub, and it shocks you through the shock collar when you don't do it fast enough. That's insane. It's no different from slavery, with a computer system owned by rich people as the master. I agree. In vertebrae, you're always in control. You can ask for help, directions for example, and the system helps you. You can ask a question and the system will answer it. You ask the system to play a movie or make a call or whatever. You can even ask the system to disconnect your brain from sensory input so you can get a good night's sleep and then wake you up at 7. The system will do all that. You're always in control of vertebrae rather than vice versa. That's good to know. And actually, this is something very cool. How do I watch a movie if I have vertebrae? There are a couple different kinds of movies right now. There's old-style screen movies, and people still watch a lot of those because they're classics. With vertebrae, you can sit down or lie down, and the movie plays through your visual system. You disconnect your eyes, and all you see is the movie in that case. Or you can have a kind of picture-in-picture thing, where the movie is overlaid with the scene that your eyes are naturally seeing. That way you can walk and watch a movie while you're walking. But all of the new movies are immersive now. You not only see the scenes, but you also taste, touch, and feel them. You're completely immersed in the movie. Many of these movies are interactive, and when they do that, they're kind of emerged between a movie and virtual space. Virtual space? Immersive environments, artificial worlds, whatever you want to call it. We call it VS here. How does virtual space work? Virtual space is an offshoot of gaming, she said. You saw it in the US to some degree. Games got more and more realistic on the screen. Now, imagine a game world where it's not about screens and stereo speakers. Instead, you're completely immersed in a game world. It includes sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, and it's totally realistic. You essentially disconnect your brain from your real body and plug it into a virtual body in the game's virtual world. Then people started creating virtual worlds simply for the sake of creating them. You can experience just about anything in virtual space now, and you can do it alone or with a million friends. You can be Neil Armstrong landing on the moon, or a cowboy in the old Wild West, whatever. What else can vertebrae do? You access a network through it. Basically, you access any fact, image, movie, song. It's like having an Alexa, but wired into your brain. You can also experience what someone else is experiencing. A person streams all of their sensory data to you, and you both experience it simultaneously. It can be one person sharing the experience or 1,000. You can publish an experience and other people can replay your memory whenever they want. Vertebrae also exercises for you, and it records your entire life to the network, so you can go back and review things that have happened in the past and replay them. It can do all sorts of things. Wait a minute, your entire life? Yes, basically your entire sensory feed, along with all your muscle actions, get recorded every minute, every day. Then if you want to go back and relive something, you can. It's like a complete diary of your entire life. Is that public? No. Well, sort of. There are the refs, but they're the only thing accessing it besides you, unless you publish something. The refs? The referees. They monitor things and prevent problems. How so? They're like referees in any sport. They watch things and flag you if you break the rules or are about to break the rules. They watch everything? The refs are robots. They watch your sensory feed as it's coming in and look for rule violations. For example, let's say you start screaming obscenities at someone in public. The refs would flag that and detain you. It's against the rules to scream at someone in public, mainly because no one wants to be around when it happens. That makes sense. Did you say they can flag you if you're about to break a rule? Yes. How can they know you're about to break the rule? Let's say you've picked up a bat and you're running towards someone and your muscles are getting the bat in position to swing it. A ref would look at that and say, "There's a good chance someone's going to get hurt here." The ref would shut down the person with the bat. Shut down? It just disconnects your brain from your muscles, and the ref takes control. Then you're detained to review the situation and retrain. That must certainly cut down on crime. You can't imagine. And there's always a complete record after the crime is committed, so there's no question about innocent or guilt. So prosecution trial is trivial if you're guilty, and exoneration is instant if you're not. It's a little creepy for the first time a ref warns you about something. It's sort of like a lifeguard yelling at you at the pool for something you thought was okay. It's embarrassing, at least to me. But then the ref explains the rule. You can ask questions about it, and then you move on. How often do the refs flag you? It can be pretty often in the beginning, but I haven't heard from a ref in over a year, I'd say. It's been a pretty long time. Where do the rules come from? We make them. Everyone's involved. They'll spend almost a week on that during the orientation. It's a big part of living here, the referendum system. And what are you saying about exercise? How can a computer system help with exercise? It sounds a little weird, but here's how it works. The biggest problem with strenuous exercise is that it's no fun. It hurts. But strenuous exercise really helps on the health side. People in the Australia Project are now living 30 years longer than the people in the US, and exercise is a part of that. Athletes are okay with the pain, but most normal people have no desire to be in pain for an hour or more. So someone figured out a solution. All you do is disconnect your brain from sensory input and watch a movie or talk to people or handle mail or read a book or whatever for an hour. During that time, the vertebrae system exercises your body for you. It takes your body through a complete aerobic workout that's a lot more strenuous than most people would tolerate on their own. You don't feel a thing, but your body stays in great shape. You're kidding me. No, I'm not kidding. It's a fantastic way to have a body that's working at peak athletic performance. You've got to feel it to believe it. I'm in fantastic shape. Here, feel my arm muscles. She offered me her arm, and she was surprisingly lean and muscular. I'd never really paid any attention to it, but she was in great shape. Let me see if I got this straight. You disconnect your brain, and your brain, can do whatever you want on the network. Call, read, play games, whatever, even enter a virtual world. Meantime, a computer controls your body. So your body is essentially a robot. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Your vertebrae is driving your body. Meanwhile, your brain is off doing whatever you want. So, who am I talking to now? Am I talking to Linda's brain or to the vertebrae computer? Ah, I see where you're going. You're talking to me. It's against the rules to have vertebrae drive your body like that when you're with someone else. That would be way too confusing. If I'm with you, I'm driving my body. The refs would flag it instantly otherwise. Well, that's reassuring. When we are together, you're always talking to me, myself, and I. No artificial additives. What else would you like to know? My God, I could ask you questions all day. It would probably be easier to simply get it myself and try the vertebrae system out. I'm glad to hear you say that, she said. We could have it done today. Today? Are you kidding? No, it's a minor surgery. You can be in and out in an hour and you won't feel a thing. What? How can replacing 3 vertebrae and having every major nerve fiber severed be painless? Well, think about it. First, medicine is highly advanced here. But second, any pain signals start routing through the vertebrae system once it's installed. and Vertebrain can mask any pain. There's no such thing as unnecessary pain once you have Vertebrain installed. You'll never have a headache again. If we can do it today, let's go for it. I've got to try this out. I had once been a game fanatic, and just the thought of an immersive game was enough to sign me up. We went to the clinic. Linda held my hand as they put me under, and it was still there when I woke up.